man, one woman, in a podcast that might be like a few others, unlike any you've ever heard before.
Megan, what are we talking about today? Oh yeah, this is The Truth is Somewhere, a conspiracy theory podcast, where we talk about conspiracy theories and other things.
In that vein, Megan, what are we talking about?
Today, we're going back to Russia.
Mother Russia.
Because I felt like torturing myself with more names that I cannot pronounce.
Okay.
So, for your enjoyment, here's all the things that I am going to struggle to pronounce for the next 30 or so minutes.
Do you have a list of all the things you're going to struggle?
No, you're just going to hear them.
That would be real great if you're just like, here's all the things,
better.
and you just like struggled over each word. And that would have been it.
Yeah. Okay, so in Yakutia, Siberia, you'll find the basin of the Vilui River.
Okay.
And in the same vicinity is another river called the Olgiudak. Olgiudak.
Oh, okay.
Olgiudak.
Okay. The gooey duck?
The gooey duck, yes. You'll also find stories that go back centuries about huge red metal domes that come out of the earth.
Okay.
These domes are described as giant upside-down cauldrons, and the Olgiudak translates to, quote, a place with cauldrons.
Oh,
End
okay.
quote.
Do you remember, like, there was a thing where you'd, like, say something into your hands, and it sounds like gooey duck. What do you say?
Girl.
Oh, yeah.
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 I remember that.
I don't remember
like
duck, though. It just sounds
school.
like gooey.
That definitely never had duck on the end of it.
Oh. I wonder what it... does that sound... I wonder what it sounds like to our listeners.
I don't know.
You tell us.
Yeah. So it translates to a place with cauldrons.
Okay, girl, duck, lake.
Yes. And that's in the...
It all makes sense. Witches are girls.
That's in the Yakutian language. I think that we might have a friend or two who would disagree with the idea that magical peoples are only girls.
Oh, I said witches.
Okay, alright, fair.
Witches. Okay. Well, I mean, sure, someone might still argue with me. I mean, this is 2019. If someone doesn't argue with me about a boy being a witch,
That's
this is not 2019. But also, I thought boys were warlocks, but then
or
again,
wizards.
or wizards if we're talking Harry Potter. But
yeah.
You're right. I don't mean to offend anyone by assuming their witchcraft.
Yeah.
They're assuming their Wiccanism.
Yeah.
I'm a Wiccanist.
Oh, like,
everyone knows Wiccan neighborhoods are just they're just not
wizard
safe.
cops.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I have Wiccan friends. But the Wiccan neighborhoods, they just aren't as safe. If you have not seen Wizard Cops, look it up on YouTube, because it's actually really funny.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get back to what you're here for now.
Yeah, Wiz Cops.
The cauldrons are called Olgius to the natives, who have passed down stories about the cauldrons for hundreds of years.
Okay.
Do you want to unpack that because we interrupted so much?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of... I'm kind of like, I don't know if I paid attention to anything that you said. I was just like...
Okay, I will give you the Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes.
We're in Siberia.
Siberia.
There are red cauldrons that come out of the ground.
Wait, red cauldrons come out of the ground?
Yes, giant... You really didn't pay attention to anything.
No, I did not.
Okay. There's stories about huge red metal domes that come out of the earth that are said to look like giant upside-down cauldrons.
Okay. Are there pictures?
No.
Okay.
So there are illustrations, and I will get them for you.
Okay.
But the native language calls this river a place with cauldrons.
Okay.
There we are. Okay. We're all caught up now.
This was for the listeners, obviously.
So the cauldrons have openings at the top and a smooth staircase that wind down the sides into metal rooms that remain warm even in the harshest Siberian winters.
Oh.
And in some accounts that are like passed down story, like tradition things, they are called iron houses.
Well, that makes sense. I think that would make more sense than calling them cauldrons.
Okay.
That's interesting. I would not think that a home made of iron would insulate very well. In fact, I would think that would be the exact opposite because...
Well, they aren't actually made of iron.
What are they made out of?
They don't know.
Oh.
It's a red metal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not iron.
I mean...
Remember what we're here for. We're here for conspiracy theories.
I mean, oxidated iron.
You'll see. I'll get there.
Okay.
It is actually red. The whole metal is red. It's not oxidation. It can't be scratched. Nothing comes off.
Okay.
It is red metal.
You heard it first here, folks. Red metal.
Red metal.
That is my next band.
Yep. So, the metal is red and incredibly hard was literally my next note. So, there we are. It appears to be impossible to chip or scratch.
Okay.
And additionally, it's a totally smooth metal with no blemishes.
Okay.
No blemishes. Natives have feared the cauldrons for centuries, believing them to be the homes of giant cyclopses.
Okay, yeah.
They believe that being near the cauldrons invites sickness and death, and local tribes still steer clear of the areas where the cauldrons can be found, believing them to contain malicious forces.
Oh, interesting.
There are supposedly no signs of wildlife around the cauldrons, and the forest remains eerily silent. And people who have spent too much time in the wilderness near the cauldrons simply drop dead, or they get very, very sick. So many people have reportedly died or vanished in the area that locals gave it the nickname Iluyu? Jesus. Churkachek.
I think you gotta give that first word another go.
Iluyu?
Ilu-E-U-E-U.
It's U-L-I-U-I-U.
Ilu-E-U-E-U. Ilu-E-U.
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 Churkachek. I will not say that ever again.
Kerchak.
Because it
Ilu-E-U is
translates...
Kerchak.
It translates to Valley of the Death, and that's what I'm going to call it from now on.
I mean, the Valley of Death, but Valley of the Death, I like that better.
Whatever. So the cauldrons appear to become known to the outside world sometime in the 19th century, and became the interest of explorers. One such explorer, R. Mack, wrote in 1853, in Suntar, which is in Siberia, I was told that in the upper reaches of the Vilayu River, there's a stream called Algi Timirbit, which translate as the large cauldron sank, following the Vilayu. Close to its bank in the forest, there's a gigantic cauldron made of copper. Its size is unknown, as only the rim is visible above the ground, but several trees grow within it.
But this is a real one?
This is what somebody wrote about it.
Okay.
The villagers told him this.
Copper makes sense. I can imagine copper, like people passing down that something looks red if it was made out of copper.
But the thing is, copper is a really malleable substance.
It is. Well, I mean, yeah, but you're not just going to scratch copper. I mean, maybe with a tool, but like you're not going to come up there and scratch at it with. And then copper is kind of a goldish color, anyways, a reddish gold.
But they can't chip anything off of it. So, like, copper would oxidize; it would turn green.
It would turn green, right?
One.
Right.
And then, two, when, like, the explorers were out there, they were, like, trying to take pieces of it back, and they couldn't even, like, cut into it, and copper's way too malleable.
You're right, copper is way too malleable for that, and it would still be a poor insulator. Worse than iron, actually.
Well, there you go. So there was another explorer, Mikhail Koretsky, and he visited the area 3 separate times, 1933, 1937, and 1947. He claims to have seen 7 of the cauldrons over the course of his visits to the valley, and he explained that the cauldrons are like red copper, but not malleable like copper.
Okay.
And he did not find chambers like others had spoken of, but did notice that the vegetation growing around the cauldrons was different from other vegetation in the area.
Do you know how it's different?
They were different colors of green, and they were like different plants. Like plants that didn't grow elsewhere in the forest grew inside the cauldrons.
That's in the cauldrons.
Yes.
Okay.
So some of them I think are not upside down.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are upside down domes, and some of them are like in the ground, and you can just see a rim.
But they rise up and down?
No.
I thought you said that in the beginning.
I never said that.
I just assumed they rose.
No.
Okay.
They don't.
All right, but there's no pictures of these cauldrons still.
No pictures.
Okay.
Okay. So he notices that the vegetation is different, and he and his team of 5 people stayed the night in one of the cauldrons and did not experience any sense of foreboding or serious illness, though he does note that about 3 months later, one of his colleagues lost all of his hair.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
And then he also had, like, 3 little dots on his head that were painful, and they never went away.
Oh.
On the side on which he slept. But nobody, other than that, nobody had, like, a serious illness, and no one died.
I was kind of hoping that you were going to be like, they stayed there for a little while, and they had no issues, though a few months later he reported that he was dead.
No. Colleague lost all of his hair.
Yes.
They were unable to break off any piece of the cauldron, but Koretsky did find a strange stone that was half of a perfect sphere.
Mm-hmm.
He said it had no visible signs of having been shaped, but was polished.
No.
But it was like it was polished. He claims that the stone was able to cut glass.
Not the round part.
No, because it's half of a sphere,
mm-hmm.
so you would have sharp edges, kind of. Does that make sense?
I mean, at the corners where... Are we talking the sphere or circle?
Sphere.
Yeah, so I
So
imagine
you would have
a sharp edge where it was cut.
Yes. So...
Yeah,
that
where
was
it's
able to
flat.
cut.
Yeah, and then at the corners.
Yeah.
Where you have, like, a near 90-degree angle.
There wouldn't be any 90-degree angles on a circle.
If you have half of a circle, if you cut a circle in half...
It's still round.
What about the flat part?
The flat part that it would, like, sit down on and there would be, like, a dome?
What? No, look. Look. Half a circle.
Oh, I guess those are kind of 90-degree
So
angles.
I said close to a 90-degree angle,
I see
not...
what you're saying. You're
Yeah,
right.
they're probably like...
He had to draw me a picture because I couldn't see it, but okay,
They're probably like 89-degree angles.
I understand now. Yes, those could cut glass.
Okay.
He unfortunately gave the stone to his grandfather in 1937.
And it was lost forever.
Yes, because that year his grandfather was arrested.
Uh-huh.
And the grandfather died in custody in 1968, and no one knows the whereabouts of the stone now.
Oh, no.
I knew immediately when I was researching this. I was like, oh, Corey's gonna love this.
Yeah.
Lost
forever. Wow.
Lost forever. No one in modern times has been able to locate the cauldrons. In the early 20th century, explorers were explaining that they were finding only the edges of the Great Rings, and the rest was filled in with vegetation. And in the 1970s, archaeologists thought they had found a promising spot based on what the locals had told them about locations.
Okay.
But the vegetation was so thick and overgrown that nothing could be definitively found.
Flamethrower.
Yeah, okay. Koretsky even noted that between his second trip in 1937 and his third trip in 1947, some of the cauldrons had sunk into the ground considerably.
Oh.
So it might just be that they had sunken so deep that you can't find them.
I told you they sink.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what I was talking about, but it's because I am one with the cauldrons.
Yeah, you are one with the cauldrons. But yes, it's possible over hundreds of years that they just continued to sink and now they are not capable of being found.
Girl.
Yes. You're one with the cauldrons. Other legends are linked into the cauldrons. The Yakut have several legends that reference explosions and fiery spheres shooting into the sky, and all of them link back to the cauldrons somehow.
Okay.
Some are described as coming from the holes in the top of the cauldrons, and they were described as being thin columns of fire that did not appear to cause great damage, but at the top of the columns appeared a very large fireball, and this fireball was followed by a series of explosions.
Whoa, sounds like more Russian missile testing.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, these stories are going back to long before we had missiles.
No, well, long before we had missiles. What about Russia?
Well, how long do you think Russia's had missiles? Because these are going back, like, biblical time stories.
Well, I mean, you ever seen Ancient Aliens?
Yeah, this actually was covered on an episode of Ancient Aliens.
Uh-huh, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Well, I guess those cauldrons were spaceships.
Sort of. We're getting there.
Oh, ooh.
We're getting there.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to the conspiracy part of this yet, have I?
I mean, yes, you have. The whole thing so far is a conspiracy.
Fair. Okay. Well, I haven't gotten to the theories about it yet.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But what that actually sounds like to me is a nuclear explosion.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, right? Big mushroom.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, how big, though?
I don't know. So now we get to the theories.
Now we get to the
We're
theories.
to the theories. Of what the cauldrons could be if they do exist.
Okay.
The most obvious theory is aliens. These are crashed UFOs or were built as bunkers by aliens to remain safe.
Okay.
There's a Russian researcher named Dr. Valery Uvarov, and he is the head of the Department of UFO Research, Paleosciences, and Paleotechnology at the National Security Academy of Russia.
You know, it doesn't help that there is this guy, or this lady, Dr. Valerie, I would imagine.
Well, that's I think a man's name in Russia.
Valerie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That this yeah, dang it, now everyone's gonna get at me for assuming gender just after I assumed Wiccanism. Okay, but it doesn't help the paleontologist that this guy is well, actually, what's the difference between paleoscience and paleontology?
I don't know.
Yeah, and paleotechnology.
At the National Security Academy of Russia. This is like a government thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's at least national. Yeah, government. Paleoscience and paleotechnology. Is this dinosaur technology?
I think it might just be ancient.
You might be right. Might be like uncovering.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, does that have a connection?
I don't know.
Maybe they don't even have a connection.
Maybe they don't.
Maybe they're just witches as well.
Maybe.
And we all know where witches get their powers.
From aliens.
From aliens.
It's all full circle.
All full circle.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to get back to what Dr. Uvarov says. He says the Cauldrons are connected to a subterranean power plant.
Mm-hmm.
And are a network of weapons to protect the Earth from extraterrestrial dangers.
Well, that's nice. Hopefully they show up if we need them.
So he claims they were built by aliens in ancient times, ancient aliens, and they have been running autonomously ever since.
Okay.
He thinks they are responsible for shooting down the Tunguska meteorite in 1908.
Oh.
The Chulim, maybe, meteorite in 1984. The Vitim meteorite in 2002, and possibly even the Irkutsk meteorite in 2011.
I don't remember that one. I know there was one a couple years ago that blew up above all of the above the city in Russia. Maybe that's it.
If it was out in Siberia.
Well, not in Siberia. Well, I think that they're assuming that I'd be surprised if all of those were just in Siberia.
No, they were in this region.
Oh, all those are okay.
That's legitimately all of these happened in the general vicinity of these
okay, they
supposed
just
cauldrons.
Shoot anything that comes down?
Yeah, they shoot that stuff out of the sky, so it doesn't injure the Earth too terribly badly.
Take a drone and fly it down.
And see if it
shoots it down. Right. But my question is, why only in that area? It seems kind of poor planning to put your...
I don't know. Maybe aliens really like Russia.
Yeah, Siberia. They're like, oh man, all the snow.
So...
Unless it's a self-defense system.
It is a self-defense system.
Against more than
Russia.
meteor.
Gotcha.
No.
Gotcha.
Well, not for Russia. For the aliens, but not against, it's like, not just for meteors. It's anything that comes down here. If I see anything come down from that sky, I want it blown out.
Sure.
Okay. You know?
Yeah.
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 When we're gonna have this system going till we get out of here, you know? And then suddenly they're like, we gotta go. We can't shut it down. I don't know why the aliens are kind of southern sounding.
It's the accent you picked, so we're sticking with it.
Right, but then the system...
And witches get their powers from that.
Aliens.
So...
I ain't a witch, I'm a hillbilly.
Right. There are, like I said, numerous large meteor crashes in the general vicinity of the Cauldrons. And the area supposedly has radiation spikes, which could explain why people get sick.
Okay, that
makes a lot of sense. They could be having radiation poisoning. That could explain why that guy lost all his hair.
Yeah, that actually would.
Uvarov also pointed to the fact that the legends about thin shafts of fire with large fireballs on top strangely resembles the mushroom cloud of an atomic bomb.
Okay, sure.
And could be an electromagnetic formation that is used to destroy or deflect meteorites and asteroids.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at you just going and saying exactly what we said.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That's what you get when I have a scripted thing that I say. Sorry.
Yep.
Another theory is that the domes are a result of a natural geological process, like ice-covered underground methane bubbles that collapsed.
Okay. Interesting. Why is it red, though?
And why is it metal?
And metal, yeah.
Yeah. And finally, there's the theory that the cauldrons are simply hallucinations caused by volcanic gases.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There are areas of the valley that have recorded high levels of gases like hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide, and the levels are so high that large numbers of birds and other small animals are found dead in the valley.
Oh.
Valley of Death. These levels can be dangerous to humans, causing headaches, dizziness, fever, and weakness, and there are other valleys in Russia that have similar levels of gases that cause illness in people, so it's not unheard of.
Yeah, and maybe that might support why there are certain, like the vegetation is different, because it's vegetation that can handle that high level, the high levels of gases, right?
Point.
So it might not be that the vegetation, oh yeah, it looks weird and it's slightly different color. Well, yeah, it's a different color because it's getting a different chemical composition into its system, one. And two, it might even not be that they're like genetically different than what's around them, but it's weeded out all the stuff that would have normally covered that vegetation, or that vegetation would have nuzzled itself up next to a tree and looked like something different until it stands out, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
Like, if we had a field of dandelions, it would look ugly and foreign to us, because we're used to looking at dandelions like tucked in with grass, right? Or in, one or two little plants popping out of a flower garden, not intentionally, obviously, but if you saw a whole field of those, that would look weird to you.
Yeah.
Or you saw like a weird circle outcropping of just dandelions, you go, what the heck is that?
Maybe they were actually like spots where meteorites had struck at some point.
Sure.
And that could explain radiation levels.
Mm-hmm.
Because, right, don't they have like...
Well, I mean, it could. I don't think... I'm not really sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's lots of uranium on certain meteors.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen that in movies. Not that movies are a really good example of science,
where they're like,
but like
they crack and there's green light coming off of them.
No, I just feel like that's something like in movies where they talk about like, oh, there's radiation levels, so you have to wear like protective gear when you go in to investigate.
Sure.
When something like
there's
that
definitely,
crashes.
well, they definitely don't know what, like right off the bat, is in a meteor. Most, I can't remember the difference there. I used to know the difference between, meteors and meteorites. I want to say a meteorite is after it's landed, and a meteor is when it's falling, but it might be the other way around. And then there's comets, and those never touch the ground; those just burn through the sky. But anyways, that might be it. I would not be surprised, and I don't think it is unthinkable to think that a highly radioactive meteor came and hit.
The other thing I was thinking about as I was writing about this, because this final theory involves volcanic gases, I was like, okay, so there's a hole at the top, and you see fireballs shooting into the sky.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, these people were just seeing volcanoes, and they passed down this, like, this crazy thought process of, like, explaining what they could be,
Red
and they had
magma.
no other way to explain what they were, so they called them cauldrons. Because they didn't know, like, because it's like bubbling magma, like cauldrons.
Yeah, it's bubbling.
Right?
It's got, I mean, it could look red. No, I think the guy who later said he saw them was...
Well, obviously that's totally different. But I was just thinking, like, if we're going to talk about, like, the folklore of it being passed down among the native peoples for literal centuries, then I'm going to think... They didn't know how else to explain a volcano.
Not all volcanoes look the same either. They can be built up on a hill and pop up little spouts as well. Yeah. I don't think that's really as likely, but and I'm not a archaeologist, not an archaeologist, but a geo dude.
Geo dude.
I didn't mean it like that.
Geo.
Yeah. Anyways, I wouldn't be surprised if volcanoes could pop up like that, and maybe pop up some small little, like 10, 12-foot little volcano that spews magma from the side of it.
You could have an earthquake that, like, causes the ground to shift and make a mound that possibly you could then have lava come out of. There are all sorts of geological things that could have happened to make what people would have tried to explain as a red cauldron. And then when lava cools, it's like, it's hard, right? It's like, it forms a rock, doesn't it?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah,
some
maybe
form of
they
rock.
were thinking it was a metal because it was
Pumice.
hot, and then...
Yeah. It's normally, not always, but like obsidian, if I remember correctly, comes from magma. But there's all sorts of formations that can come from it. Pumice is from magma. That's why it's got all the holes in it and it's so light. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's plausible, and I think that maybe it was a little bit more accurately described if it's as old as it is, and these tales are as old as they are. I kind of question if they're that old, mostly because the oldest written story that we have is Beowulf. And even if... So, I'll give it credence and say that maybe there's a good chance that this story verbally has been passed down for a long time.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, there is a good chance that maybe they were describing it pretty accurately in the beginning.
And then things got mistranslated.
You ever played a game of telephone? Yeah.
Well, and then when they were trying to explain to people who didn't speak the language natively, cauldron could have been the wrong word. Or somebody else attributed it. They were like, there's these huge mountains with bubbling magma in them.
Maybe
and people
cauldrons.
were like, you have big cauldrons?
Or maybe even then, like, someone was like, there's these big things with magma coming out of them, and people were like, I don't get it. Like cauldrons. And then from then on, he told the story as these cauldrons.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
They spewed red magma from it, which turned into these red cauldrons that were always warm.
So it's really interesting because this is not a theory I came across at all, that it could actually just be volcanoes. That was something that I literally just thought of as I was writing. I was like, they're just volcanoes.
I think it's a possibility, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know. That's kind of the point. The truth is somewhere, and we haven't found it.
That is. It's true.
That's the point.
Yeah. That's all we got for today, right?
That's all I got.
That's all you have. That's all I have. Because if you're out,
then you're
I'm out.
Okay.
I mean, I can talk for a long time.
I know, we could go way off the rails like we did in the beginning, but I'll save you the pain, and I will tell you
Well, I cracked in that one.
that you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TTIS Podcast. You can find us on a Facebook group as TTIS Podcast Group. If you like what we're doing, you can jump on over to iTunes, leave us a positive review. If you really like what we're doing, you can jump on over to Patreon and get yourself some merch and some cool bonus content. We've got some really cool new stuff in the works for Patreon, which, by the way, Hailee Bailey, welcome to the Patreon team.
Yay! Welcome.
Welcome to the craziness. You can email us at thetruthissomewherepodcast@gmail.com with questions, comments, concerns if you're mad about Corey's assuming Wiccanism.
Oh, man.
And merch is at thetruthissomewhere.threadless.com. And also,
I mean, you can find us
show
on...
notes, thetruthissomewhere.com.
Yeah.
Yep. And all of the links to all of the other stuff is on thetruthissomewhere.com. I could probably just say that, like, go there, find it.
Right. But we're also going to start releasing episodes early on Patreon. So if you want to listen to it just slightly before everyone else, Patreon.
We're going to post my notes in all of their unedited glory.
Yeah, I'm going to try. No promises. But I will be showing my editing process so the world can see. But no promise on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there might be some Patreon-only episodes coming in the near future.
Well, I mean, we're pretty certain that's happening.
That's happening. That's going to happen. They're going to be little mini episodes, but they're going to be Patreon-only. Nobody else gets to have those.
That's true.
So, yeah. I think that's everything.
Truth is somewhere, people.
Keep looking.